So today I'm gonna start with a topic that is SSH. The SSH protocol is something which I believe that all of you are aware of, right? So whenever I want to take the remote access of my router or the switch, right? I do have multiple options. Just wait, let me just text. Yes. So whenever we want to take the remote access of our appliances, right? We do have multiple options as we have already discussed. The first option was telnet. The other option we can have is SSH, right? Now, talking about the difference between telnet and SSH, whatever traffic is being exchanged between the end user and the appliance, the packet is traveled in the plain text format. Basically, you can say that the password is traveling between the two machines in the plain text format. However, with the SSH, the traffic is being encrypted. So what I'm trying to say is, let's suppose that that's your admin PC and that's your router. Fine. So if you have configured telnet on the router and the admin is trying to take the remote access using the telnet protocol. So when the password travels, okay, because you know, when we take the telnet access, we need to configure, we need to tell the password, right? So that password is travel in the plain text format. However, when I talk about the SSH, okay, the traffic that is exchanged between the admin machine and the appliance, that is your router, the traffic is in the encrypted format. Okay, so that's the main difference between the telnet and SSH. That's why we say that the SSH protocol is a secure protocol as compared to the telnet, because the packets that travel between the two machines are in the plain text format for the telnet, but when it comes to the SSH, the packets are travel in the encrypted format. Fine. Now, next thing, in both the telnet and the SSH protocol, both are TCP based protocol. However, in today's class, we are discussing about the SSH. So in that SSH also use the TCP protocol at layer 4, and the port number of SSH is 22, right? So again, now let's directly come to the configuration part of the SSH. Now I would like you guys to be proactive and please tell me the commands to configure SSH on any router or on a switch. Please be proactive. You can turn on your mics and you can just let me know the configuration part.
Okay, so this is Ben.
Yes,
so
Ben.
First you need to create a domain name. So IP domain name maybe.
Okay. So Ben says that first of all we need to run command something like this, domain name, and we need to define some domain name of on our router or switch. Next step, Ben.
Yeah, you have to write crypto.
Okay, so the next command is crypto key generate.
Yep.
RSA. Then we need to define the size of the key, right?
Yes, please. Yep.
Anything else?
1024. Then you can enable whether you want to use IP SSH version 1 or version 2.
Anything else that is required to configure on the router or the switch for the SSH?
You have to also enable the line VTYs.
On the line VTY. So on the line VTY, what commands are required?
Transport input SSH.
Okay, transport input SSH. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So Ben is almost right. So basically, we often say that the first step to configure SSH protocol is to give the host name on your appliance. That's the first mandatory thing, that you need to configure host name of your appliance, whether it is router or the switch. Then on the step 2, you need to define domain name. Okay. Then in step 3, you have to generate keys, or what you can say, the crypto keys. Fine. Lastly, you have to enable the SSH protocol under line VTY, right? These are the basic, this is a very basic configuration. Now, my question is, which command is actually the important command to enable the SSH protocol? Does anyone have any idea? My question is, do I require all the commands to enable SSH on the router or the switch, or just a single command can also enable the SSH protocol?
The crypto, the generate crypto is very, very important. You need those commands for the system to work.
Okay, fine. So Ben, let's suppose if I directly run the crypto key command on the router, will I be able to configure SSH protocol on my device?
So one thing, so you have to make sure that your iOS or whatever support the security features, right? If it doesn't support it, this command does not even, you cannot, there's no way that you can run this command on the.
Okay, fine. So let me just conclude my answer. Guys, it is not really important to configure a host name on your router or the domain name on your router or the switch. Okay, the why we do configure host name and domain name, why it is important, I'll let you know the importance of these commands. However, these two commands can be skipped and I can run directly the third command, step 3 command, and I can enable the SSH protocol on my device. So my verdict is only the third command, that is crypto key generate command, is the necessary command to enable the SSH protocol on your device. However, the step 1, that is the configuring the host name or defining the domain name, is not mandatory. Why do you do it? I'll let you know. So for that, let me just jump to the topology. 150.1.7.2.8. So let me just open the Eve platform. So when you will log in to your Eve platform for the first time, remember the username will be admin and the password will be Eve, that is EVE in small letters. Okay. However, you do not need to worry. The trainer on the Thursday will give you a detailed session about this. Okay, so let me just draw a topology, add new lab, SSH lab, save. Now I need to take a router and a switch and a PC. So node IOL, Cisco IOL. So here I have already told you that if you need to take a router, then you need to take the L3 image. Okay, this image. Then how many routers are required? Only one router. And then from here you can decrease the RAM of your router or you can increase the RAM of your router depending upon the RAM you are having on your system. If you are having 8 GB of RAM, then you can configure the RAM on your router, that is 256 MB, but do not make it less than 256 MB because the Eve platform, the router or any appliance less than 256 MB will not work on the Eve platform. Okay, so however, I'm having 32 GB of RAM, that's quite for me. So the RAM is enough. Save. I have taken a router. Then I need to take a switch. So again, I need to type IOL, Cisco IOL, and then here I can take the iron image of my switch. That's the iron image means this switch is a L3 switch and a L2 switch. Okay. Then name, I'll named it with switch. Image, you can change the image also, otherwise the image will be the router image by default. So L3 switch, save. We have taken the switch to, and I'll take a client PC. So for that node, just search Windows, click on it, and Windows means your desktop PC, and from here you can define the RAM. Save. So in case if you are creating a topology which is having number of appliances, so what you can do, you can just simply define the RAM for every appliance. If you will down the RAM for every appliance, you will be able to have more number of appliances on the Eve platform. So let's connect it, save, and now I need to turn on all the devices. So go to more actions, start all nodes. Now what is this wipe all nodes? Wipe all nodes means if your lab is having some pre-configuration, okay, and you would like to remove every single command from all of your appliance. So you can do what you can do, you can just click on wipe all nodes and all the configurations from all the appliances will be removed. However, I have just created a new topology, so that is not required. I will simply run start all nodes, and within few seconds or within a minute, all of my appliances will get started. Okay. Print screen. Okay, so let me just tell you the IP address that I'm going to configure. So this Windows machine is going to have the IP address 10.1.1.1/24. It's a switch, so no need to perform any configuration. 10.1.1.2/24. It will be a very basic topology. Fine. So move to the Windows machine. Now what do you need to do? Just wait, or just move to start, run ncpa.cpl, and it will directly take you to the network adapters. Meanwhile, let me check if I got the access of router. Yes. So no. Then enable configuration terminal. Let me just configure the IP address interface E0/0. No shutdown, and no shutdown. IP address will be 10.1.1.2. 255.255.255.0. That's it. Do show IP interface brief pipe exclude unassigned. So IP address have been configured on the router R1. That's it. Now move back to your client machine. Okay. So double click on it. Go to properties. Just check the IP address, internet protocol. So 10.1.1.1, subnet mask 255.255.255.0. I do not require default gateway. Okay. Okay. And you can see once you will configure the IP address on your virtual PC, it will say the LAN cable is connected. Okay. Fine. So let me just check if the router R1 is able to reach 10.1.1.1, that is the admin PC. Yes, it is. So I'm considering that this PC is going to be my admin PC. That's my network device. Okay. And I will be configuring SSH protocol on the router R1. Fine. So let's move to router R1 immediately. And I told you that you can just directly run the command. Just hold on. I just told you that you can directly run the command crypto key generate. It is not necessary to configure host name and the domain name. Let me just check. Crypto key generate RSA. Let me execute this command. Now it says, please define a host name other than router. Okay. Now, why it is mandatory to configure host name? Don't worry, I'll let you know. Okay. But again, my verdict is that only this command is required to configure SSH. Okay. Let me prove this. How? First of all, let us give the host name. Host name is R1. Okay. Now let me try to run this command crypto key generate RSA. Now it says, please define a domain name. Okay, fine. I'm going to define that too. IP domain name cisco.lab. Fine. Now can I run that command crypto key generate RSA? Yes. Now what will be the size of keys? It is 1024. That's a standard size, right? Let me keep this 1024. Now just wait, just see this. The moment I execute this command, it says the SSH protocol has been enabled. So my answer is that to enable the SSH protocol, this command is the key command, right? Now I would like to give you
one question, Prashant.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt in the middle.
Mhm.
For let's suppose that there is a running network
Mhm.
and I change the host name.
Mhm.
So what are the possibilities it can harm to a device?
The possibilities will be that the keys that your router is going to generate the new keys in that scenario.
Okay.
Just hold on. Let me just tell you the
How about the
reason why
L3
this.
switch?
Huh?
How about the L3 switch?
Whether it is L3 switch or the router, the concept remains same.
It is going to generate the new keys. If I change the host name, it will generate new keys. So
Yes.
the keys will gonna impact to my TechX or what?
No, that see when you talk about the TechX,
Uh-huh.
okay, so when you do the TechX configuration on your router or your switch, you have to configure a separate TechX key. That this key is something different.
Okay, so this
Okay,
key, how it will harm to my device?
it is not going to make any impact unless you are giving the host name on your device.
No, I have already given one host name and
Yes.
generated the key. Now I change the host name.
Mhm.
What will happen in that case?
In that case, only the keys will be changed. Just hold on, you will get your answer. Okay.
Okay.
Just wait for next 5 to 10 minutes and you will get your answer. Okay. So so the answer, so the point is, why do we require host name and the domain name? Okay. As everyone, all of you are configuring this thing, crypto key generate RSA. Okay. And you are defining the key size 1024. Now, have you seen these keys on your router or the switch? Probably not. So let's see how these keys look like. Okay. So what you can do, you can just run this command, exit show key. Just wait. Show, or let me just run crypto key, then unlock. Hold on. Enable configuration terminal. Show wait. Show. Show IP SSH. It says the SSH key. See, in fact, here also you can see the configuration part. It says right now, it says the SSH enabled version is 1.99. I'll talk about what is 1.99. Okay, what is this authentication timeout? And you can see the size which you have given on your device. That is 1024. Now, show. We do have the option show crypto key. Yes, show crypto key, mypub key, and RSA. Execute this command and you will be able to see show crypto key, mypub key, RSA is the command where you can check which keys have been generated by your router. Okay. Now you could see that there is the key have been generated at this particular time and on this date. Fine. Other thing, it says that the key data. So we do have this information. So basically this particular thing is something which I can say is your keys. Okay. Now what is the purpose of keys? The keys is something which is going to encrypt the packets of SSH. Now, how does it happen? We'll talk about this when we will be discussing about the VPN, because when I'll start with the VPN, I'll discuss about the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. How does RSA work? We will have a detailed discussion when we'll start with the VPN. However, just for the now, for the basic understanding, you can see that these will be the keys who will be helping to encrypt the packet on your appliance. Okay. Now, the most important thing that you need to notice here, there is something called key name. And if you notice this thing, it says the key name is R1 and .cisco.lab, right? And if you remember, the host name that we have configured on our machine is what? R1. The keys that we have generated on our the domain name which we have defined on our machine is what? Cisco.lab. So basically, when the keys are generated by your router or the switch, the keys are actually made up of two things. That is the host name of the appliance and the domain name. And that is why it is mandatory to configure host name and the domain name in the step 1 and step 2. Is it clear? Because whenever the keys are going, whenever there will be generation of keys, the keys are going to have their certain name, and the name is configured, name is taken from the host name along with the domain name which you have configured. Is it clear? That's why it is mandatory. Now I can directly configure the third command, that is crypto key generate command, and I do not need to configure host name and the domain name. How? Let's see that. For that, what I need to do, I will delete these commands. I will delete this key. I will delete this key from my router. So how you can delete the key from your router? For that, you need to run this command crypto key zeroize. Just wait. Move to the global configuration mode. Crypto key, put question mark. You have the option zeroize. Zeroize means that you want to remove the keys. Zeroize, put question mark. Which key? I want to remove the RSA keys. Then put question mark. Now it says, please tell me the key pair label. Key pair label means the name of the keys. Okay, so either you can input this r1.cisco.lab here, or if I execute the command, it says, if you will not define the keys name, I will remove all the keys. Would you like to proceed? Yes. Do show crypto key, mypub key, RSA. And if I execute this command, are you able to see any keys now? No, because all the keys have been removed. And you can see once the keys have been removed from your router, the SSH protocol has been disabled. Fine. Now let me just tell you how you can configure the SSH protocol without configuring the host name and the domain name. So the command is quite simple. Crypto key generate RSA, put question mark. Here you can see there is something called label, right? Label means what will be the name of the keys. Okay, so here you can directly define the name of the keys. So let's suppose if I keep the name as Ben.Tarun, fine, put question mark. It says you can also define the size of the keys directly. So for that, modulus, and here you can define the size of the keys. So let me just directly keep it 1024, execute the command, and it says the keys have been generated with this size 1024 bits and the SSH protocol has been enabled. Is it clear? And now if I run this command, do show crypto key my pub key RSA. So here you can see the key name is what, which you have configured, that is Ben.Tarun. So shall we move ahead?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So again, we are back to the router. So as simple as that, I just told you that it is not mandatory to configure the host name and the domain name on your router. You can just directly run the crypto key generate command, and you can just simply run the modulus keyword to define the host name directly. Show crypto key mypub key RSA, execute this command, and you can just directly define the name of the keys. Okay, so you do not need to configure domain name and the host name. Rest, let's move ahead. Let me just remove all these commands, or let me just disable the SSH protocol from the router. So crypto key zeroize RSA, execute yes. So once you will remove the keys from the router, the SSH protocol will be disabled. Now let me open the Wireshark capture between the router and the switch. So basically I would like to see the Wireshark packets that is flowing between the two end machines. Right click here. Capture Ethernet 0/1. Okay, so I'm always just I'm getting some glitches with this Wireshark because the connection has been abandoned here. Okay, we'll sort it out. I'll sort it out. However, I just wanted to make sure that you are able to see the packets flowing between the two machines. Now, let me just come to the other thing, that if I run this command, crypto key generate RSA, then modulus means that I have to define the keys, right? Now, if I directly run this command crypto key generate RSA, it is going to ask you for the size of the keys, right? Now, more will be the size of the keys, okay, the greater encryption you are going to get. Fine. Now, however, it says the standard size is 512. Okay. However, you can make the you can keep the size of your keys from 360 to 4096. Now, if I configure the size of the keys as 800, let's suppose that it says that the SSH protocol has been enabled and the SSH version is 1.99, right? Now, let me just remove this quickly. Then it will disable the SSH protocol. Let me run that command again, crypto key generate RSA. Now, if I keep the size as 460, okay, let's see that what happens. It says that the SSH 1.5 has been enabled. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna make it much complex with the SSH 1.55 or SSH 1.99. I'm just simplifying it with a statement that the size of the keys will define whether you are enabling the SSH version 1.55. It is basically SSH 1.55, or you are going to enable the SSH 1.99 on your appliance. Okay. However, you have a window of configuring the key size from 360 to 4096, right? Now, let me tell you the logic behind the size of these keys and why does it impact the SSH version. So basically, if the window is from 360 to 4096, that you can define the size of the keys on your appliance in this window. But what happens if you keep the key size from 768 bytes, okay, or greater, from 768 byte or greater than it, then your router or the switch will enable SSH version 1.99. Okay, but if you keep the size below 768 or less than it, your router or switch will enable the SSH version 1.55. Is it clear? Now, I just have proved you this. If you configure the key size as 460, SSH 1.55 has been enabled. If you keep the key size above 768, that is 800, the SSH 1.99 has been enabled. Now, one more thing I would like to show you. Let me remove these keys from the router. Yes. Okay, so the SSH protocol has been disabled. All the keys have been removed. I would like to run the same command again, crypto key generate RSA. Execute this command and do you want to replace them? Yes. Now let me just hold on. Crypto key zeroize RSA. Yes, I would like to remove all the keys. Then crypto key RSA, execute the command, and let me keep the key size as 762. So if I'm going to configure 762, that means SSH 1.55 should be enabled, right? Execute this command, but it says SSH 1.99 has been enabled. Now it contradicts the theoretical thing which I just have explained you. I told you that if the key size is less than 768, the SSH 1.55 will be enabled. But in our case, I have given the key size as 762, but still your router has enabled 1.99. Now, the reason behind this is our routers or the switches are intelligent devices, right? So basically, our router and the switches are aware of the fact that the user is trying to generate the key size, which is 762 bytes. If I add on, your router will say that if I add on 6 more bits, to this 762-bit, the user will be able to get SSH 1.99 enable. And if the SSH 1.99, just for the simplicity, you can just keep in your mind that SSH 1.99 is more secure as 1.55, right? That's just, we are not going to dig in the SSH versions 1.99 and 1.55. What are the differences between them? Just for the simplicity, you can just consider that SSH 1.99 is it's more secure than 1.55. Now your router will say that I am an intelligent device, and since my user or my admin want to configure the key size 762 bytes, okay, now router will say that if the user can add more 6 bytes, he will be able to get a more secure version. So basically your router is adding this 6 byte by itself, and adding these additional bytes by your router or the switch is something known as garbage value. Okay, so basically what happens, if you keep at the key size near to the 768, okay, let's suppose you keep it 762 or 763 or 761, your router will add a garbage value by itself so that the user can have a more secure version of SSH. Is it clear? That's why the reason is, even though I have configured the key size as 762, the SSH 1.99 has been enabled. If I remove these keys, yes, now let me run that command again. Crypto key generate RSA, execute this command, and let me keep the key size as 758. Let's see. It says the SSH 1.55 has been enabled. Okay, so basically any key size above 760, your router or the switch is going to configure SSH 1.99. Okay, and the reason behind it, your router or the switch will add on the garbage value. Okay, the additional bits which has been added by your appliance itself is something called garbage value. Is it clear? And that's what we needed to discuss about the SSH protocol. Now, talking about the security of the SSH protocol, whatever security concepts we have learned for the telnet protocol, the similar can be applied for the SSH too. Okay, the quiet mode, okay, the self-defense ACL, right? All the things which we have discussed in the past 3 classes, the similar can be applied for the SSH too. Is it clear? So that's why I'm not going to discuss the quiet mode, self-defense ACL, or some access class thing again. That's all for the SSH from my side. If you have any queries, please let me know. Else we'll take a break for 2 minutes and then we will resume the session. Okay, so now I have to discuss the topic, which is NTP and the Syslog. And currently the time is, okay, so I'm going to start with the Syslog because the NTP will require more time as compared to the Syslog. Okay, so let me start the topic Syslog with you. We'll
Prashant,
start with, yes.
One doubt. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, is it Imran? Yes, please, Imran.
Yeah,
Please tell me.
Actually, I got a doubt which was struck before a long back. Actually, we had like this is related to SSH, and it's on a daily backup. The SolarWinds takes the backup, but first.
So now I'm going to start with the Syslogs. What are Syslog? Now, from the lab perspective, you are not going to get the Syslog configuration anywhere. However, from the real world perspective, it is quite important. That's why it has been added here. So what is Syslog? Basically, Syslogs are nothing. Just wait. Text. Syslogs are nothing. These are system generated messages to give notification, or you can say the information to the admin about the events being occurred on the appliance. So basically, what is syslog message? See, syslog message is nothing. When you run interface shutdown command on your device, let's suppose that we are in the enable mode on the router, go to the global configuration mode. If I move to interface E0/2, okay, and I run the no shutdown command, you will get a log message, right? That's log message. This is nothing. This is syslogs. So basically, syslogs are nothing. These are the messages which have been generated by your appliance to give the administrator the notification or the information about the events that is being happening on the appliance. Is it clear? It is as simple as that.
One question.
Yes.
Terminal monitor and syslog, what is the difference between them?
What?
Terminal monitor
Huh?
and syslog.
Yes.
What are the difference?
Basically, syslog is a solution. Okay.
Okay.
Terminal monitor is something which you configure on your appliance when you want to take the log messages on a remote access. Just hold on. Let me just clear it. When you take the remote access of your router, okay?
Okay.
Let's suppose you have taken the telnet or the SSH of your router. By default, you will not get any log message.
Right.
But
So
if you will run the terminal monitor command under the line VTY, you will be able to see the log messages on the remote access too.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry, we will cover this thing.
Okay.
We will cover this thing about the syslogs. Okay. So basically, syslog is nothing. These are the messages that has been generated by the appliances. Now, coming to the fact, if I show you the do show run, if I show you the running configuration of the router, you will notice something that your router is, just hold on. Just wait. Let me just copy these configuration. Control-C. These two commands are already running on your router. Along with that, logging console. Okay, the logging console command is already running on your router. That's why you are able to see these log messages. So what I mean by this is my admin PC, and you have taken the console access of your router or the switch. Okay, this is the console access. So by default, your router or the switches are configured with the command logging console. Logging console means if any user is taking the console access of the appliance, he will get the log messages. Okay, that is the meaning of the logging console. And right now, if I move to my router, okay, let me show you. If I run this command, show users, do you remember this command, guys? That if you want to check who has taken the access of your router, either physically or remote access, you can run this command. So you can see there is on the line VTY 0, the console 0 is there, right? That means this appliance R1, which we have taken the access, it is through the console access. And by default, on the console, for the console access, the syslogs are enabled. Okay, syslogs are enabled by default on console access. Fine. But when I talk about remote access of the appliance, let's suppose if someone has taken the telnet or the SSH of my appliance, will I able to see log messages? The answer is no. You will not be able to see the log messages on the remote access. How? I can prove you. Just wait. Just to conclude this practical, I need to have one more router. Save. Just wait. Stop. Because you cannot make the connection between the two appliances until and unless the devices are done. Also, I will take something called network. Why it is required, I'll let you know. Management cloud, save. I'll take this one too. Let me just connect this with R4, save, R, and this R1 is connected with the R4, save, more action, start all nodes. So basically, in this topology, this user is going to have 10.1.1.1. This interface of the router is going to have 10.1.1.2. It is going to have 20.1.1.1. It is going to have 20.1.1.2. And this is what? This is actually my PC. This is actually my PC where this Eve platform is running. Don't worry, I'll explain this thing. And I am going to keep the IP address 150.1.7.2 here, /24. Fine. So move to router R1 because we have restarted the appliance. So I need to reconfigure it with the IP addresses. Enable configuration terminal. Interface is 0/0. No shutdown. IP address will be 10.1.1.2, 255.255.255.0. Interface is 0/1. No shutdown. IP address will be 20.1.1.1, 255.255.255.0. That's it. Let me change the host name to R1. That's it. Now move to R4. No. Enable configuration terminal, host name R2, sorry, R4. Interface is 0/1. It will be configured with the IP address 20.1.1.2, 255.255.255.0. Interface is 0/0 will be configured with the IP address 150.7.2, 255.255.255.0. Just hold on. Do show IP interface brief, pipe exclude unassigned. Done. Now coming back to the fact that for the remote access, the SSH for the telnet or the SSH, the syslogs are not enabled. How I can verify? Just move to the router R1. Let me just enable line VTY 0 to 4, transport input all. That's it. And let me just keep it login local, and I'll keep the username CCNA with the privilege level 15 and the password CCIE. Okay. Now, why do I have configured privilege level 15? Nothing. Just to make you just to remind you that yes, we have discussed privilege level in the last class. Okay. So just move to the Windows machine. Take the putty access. We have to take the access of 10.1.1.2. Okay, I'm talking about the R1 only. 10.1.1.2. We need to take the telnet. Open. It is asking for the password. So the username is CCNA, password is CCIE. Let me just change the font, change settings, appearance. Okay, colors. I hope it is visible now. So on the route, so I have taken the remote access of my router R1. Fine. Now, if I move to router R1 and I run this command, interface E0/3, okay, and no shutdown, you are able to see the log messages here. But on this screen, can you see the log messages? No. Okay, let me do one more thing. Interface E0/3. Let me run the shutdown command on the remote access. Shutdown. You can see the log messages here that the interface has gone down. You can see the log message, guys. The interface has gone down. But did you see any log message on the remote access? No, because by default, the syslog messages are disabled on the remote access. Fine. I hope everyone is clear to till this point. Any queries, please let me know. Any queries?
Why syslog messages are enabled only on console?
Yes, because by default, your routers or the switches are configured with the command which I have told you, which is login in console.
That's it. If
Okay.
I put logging
if you will run the no logging console, that then your router or the switches will not show you the log messages even on the console port.
No. If I'll say I want to see the syslog on the remote site as well.
We'll talk about this.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Till the time it's clear.
Till the time that by default the remote on the remote access, the syslog messages are disabled, and for the console access, the log messages are enabled, which I have proved you. Okay. Now let's talk about the syslog messages. The syntax of the syslog messages. Where it is, this is the syntax of the syslog message. Let me just copy it for you. Just wait. Let me bring that interface in the upstate again. Interface E0/3. No shutdown. Done. So let me just copy it. Copy. Now I would like to explain you the syntax of the syslog message. Okay. So what it is, home. So basically this part of the syslog message is nothing. It is just defining the date and the time. Okay, right now we are discussing the syntax of the syslog message. This part is defining the date and the time. What about this part? This particular part of the syslog message, basically it is known as facility. It is known as facility. I'll talk about this. This particular part of the syslog message is known as severity level. That how severe that log message is, whether it is too much important or you can ignore it. Then this particular part defines the action. And finally, this part of the syslog message will give you a brief what has actually happened. Okay. So this is the syntax of the syslog message. Now, let's talk about this. Date and time is quite clear, I hope. Why this date and time is being shown to you? Because by default, your Cisco routers are configured with the command do show run service timestamps service timestamp log date and times. That means whenever your router will give you a log message, it will show you the date and time. If you will disable it, if you remove this command with the no keyword, then your router will not show you the date and time. You can do this. If you run this thing in the global configuration mode, you can just simply run no service timestamp log. Okay, just execute this command. See, the command has been executed. And now if you will have anything, any event on the router, I have run the shutdown command. Can you see? You are getting all the information except date and time. Are you able to see this? No, because by default your router was configured with this command. Is it clear? So let me just execute this command again.
Yes, clear.
Done. And let me bring that interface into the action again. Interface E0/3, no shutdown. And you are able to see the time and the date again. Now, coming to the fact that what is facility? What is facility in the syntax? Now, the facility means what kind of event has occurred. Okay. So as an admin, if it says line, see, it says line protocol. Line protocol, that means any interface has gone down or up. Basically, this facility is going to give you the information that an event has occurred related to what? Related to the line protocol, related to any interface of the appliance. Okay, just hold on. I would like to give you more clarity on this. Let me just run the EIGRP protocol between R1 and R2 so that the Windows should be able to reach every network, right? So move to router R1, router EIGRP 100, and then I would like to advertise all the networks. Similarly, move to router R4, router EIGRP 100. I would like to advertise all the networks. Just hold on. Did you see we got some log messages? Let me just copy this one too. And let me keep it here. So if you notice this syslog message, it is exactly similar as the previous one, right? However, it is different with the information. It is again the date and time, which I do not need to discuss. Now, this is facility part I told you. Now it says something has happened related to what? Dual. Dual means what? EIGRP protocol works on the dual algorithm. That's why it says there is something happened with the dual algorithm. Is it clear? So the facility is going to tell you that an event has occurred related to what? Is it clear? Now, what is severity level? Your syslog messages have been categorized with some levels. Okay. Now, let me tell you. Text. The first severity level is 0, which is known as emergency severity level. Then the next severity level is 1, which is known as immediate. Next severity level is critical. Okay. Apologies for the misspelling if it happens. Then the next severity level is 3, which is known as error. 4th severity error is warning. Then the 5th one is known as notification. Then the 6th one is informational. And the last severity level is debugging. Okay, so basically the severity level has been categorized into 8 levels, and less is the severity level number, more attention it needed. So what I'm trying to say, if you get a log message which is having the severity level, let's suppose on your router or on the switch, you get a log message having the severity level 4. But after a few time, you get a log message having the severity level 1. So that means this severity level needs more attention. Less will be the severity level number, more attention it is needed. Is it clear? As you can see, even in the name, 0 is emergency, 1 is immediate, 2nd is critical, 3rd is error, while the 6th one is just an information.
One question,
Yes.
Prashant. I'm pretty much sure that 3, I till understand I saw 3 and I saw 4 for sure. Warning and error are there. What in what cases I get critical, immediate, and emergency?
When if you're having the hardware failures, for example, if your fan is not working on the appliance,
so that would become in error, right? 3rd.
No, that will come into the emergency or the immediate.
Okay.
Yes.
And critical?
Critical, I don't remember exactly, but
okay.
In fact, I don't remember exactly all of these. But yes, the severity levels have been categorized in such a manner.
Warning. I understand that notification, till notification, everybody will understand that the information is given by the router that this happened and this happened. Warning, it comes under like that something which you have configured is not working or not functional.
Yes.
Error is a kind of when you have configured something and it's not working at all. critical, immediate, and emergency I was not know. As you tell me that immediate is critical is you said
That,
hardware
yes,
failure.
most of the things which is related to the hardware level, which it's fall under from 0 to 3.
Okay.
Okay, if you have configured the NMS or the Cisco Prime or some other NMS server, you might see these severity levels in the Cisco Prime or some other NMS server. If any failure related to the hardware, then you will see the emergency or the immediate. For example, if there are your appliance is having the two power supply at a time, fine, and let's suppose one power supply fails, so it will immediately give you the log message of the critical. Let's suppose if your CPU utilization of the appliance is spiking more than 70%, then it will start giving the error related to the immediate or the critical.
Okay.
Fine. So these are something which I have seen on the Cisco Prime.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I hope now everyone is clear with this severity level thing. Severity level defines how much severe that information is, how much attention that log message is required. Then we do have something called action. So basically this part defines the action. So it says with this log message says that something has happened with the dual algorithm and the neighborship change has occurred. And this part is defining the brief information that a new neighbor has come up. Similarly, here it says the line protocol on the interface E0/3 has been up. So basically the syntax of the syslog messages just give you a detailed information as an administrator, which depends on the severity level, if it requires the immediate attention, or you can just ignore that log message. Any query till this point? Any queries, Mr. Ben?
No.
I'm good, Prashant.
Okay, fine. So as I have already told you that on the remote access, the syslog messages are disabled. So if you want to enable the syslog messages on the remote access, so what you need to do, you need to run this command line VTY 0 to 4. Under the remote lines, you need to run this command monitor and exit. Fine. Now your router will give the log messages even to the remote access. Now just come to the appliance. Let us take the remote access again. That is 10.1.1.2. We'll take the telnet. The user we have configured is CCNA. The password is CCIE. Execute the command. We are on router R1. Let me bring the interface E0/3 in down state. Do show IP interface brief pipe. Let's run this command, no shutdown. I think that interface was already in the down state. We got the interface log messages here, but not on the remote access. Let me just check. Let me take the remote access from the router R4. We are on router R4. Let me take the telnet access. Do telnet 10.1.1.2. Username is CCNA. Password CCIE. Execute the command. Move to the global configuration mode. Run the command interface E0/3. No shutdown. Shutdown. do show run pipe section line VTY transport input log line VTY 0 to 4, then monitor, exit, no shutdown from the remote access. Now you are able to see the log messages on the remote access too. Okay. Let me show you on the appliance too. So might be that command has not run on the router. You will find these kind of glitches on the Eve platform. Okay. So you do not need to worry. You can just reconfigure this, because previously also I just have run the similar command line VTY 024 monitor, and the same thing I did again. So you do not need to worry. Just configure the same thing if it happens with you while performing the log. Okay. So you can see until and unless this monitor terminal command, this monitor commit do show history, this monitor command is not configured, the remote access, with the remote access you are not having the syslog messages. Fine. Now next thing, now right now I am on router R1. Fine. Right now I am physically present on the router R1. This is the console access of my router. Now by default, if you want to check the log messages on the router, so or the switch, you can run this command do show login, and if you will run this command, your router or the switch will give you the detailed information. Do show logging, it says the console logging is enabled. Okay, up to debug level. Debugging means up to level 7. And fine, and you can see these bunch of log messages which have been taken by the router or the switch. Okay, so here you can, with this command do show logging, you can see some recent log messages. Fine. Now every router or the switch is going to have its certain RAM, right? So, and you cannot expect your router or the switch to save the log messages for a longer period of time. Let's suppose that this is my router R1, that's my switch, that's my router R2. Okay. So let's suppose as an administrator or as the CISO or the CTO of the company, you would like to save these log messages for the next 3 months. Okay. So what happens? By default, syslog messages are not saved on the Cisco router or on the switches. By default, these log messages are not saved. Okay, these are not saved. So what you can do, so in the real time, also as an administrator point of view, let's suppose you are the administrator and that's your PC. So you cannot have the access of all the appliances simultaneously. You cannot have the CLI access of all the devices, and you can just keep on tracking the log messages. So in the real time, what happens? We keep a server which is named as syslog server. Okay, and what we do, we make the configuration on the router and the switches so that whenever they get any log message, they send it to the syslog server. And as an administrator, what I need to do, I just need to keep the dashboard of the syslog server open, and I will keep on getting the log message of all the appliances. Is it clear? So how we are going to perform the practical for this? I have taken a log server which is Kiwi log server. Okay, so let me just let you know how to configure, how to install it. The installation part is quite simple. Just double click on it. It will ask you to agree some terms and condition. Next. And within few seconds, this Kiwi Syslog server will install on your machine, right? It has been enabled. Now I will ask my router R1 and my router R4 not to send not to give log messages on the console port, but I will ask these router, both the router R1 and R4, to send the log messages directly to the Syslog server. Okay, now let me explain you the topology. Basically, on the Eve platform, I have taken R1, R2, right? And there you can see a cloud. Basically, this cloud is nothing. It is just my PC. What happens, guys? This is your PC screen. Okay, that's your laptop. So when you install the VMware on your system, this VMware will create some virtual adapters, some network adapters. As you can see on my screen, ncpa.cpl. So you can see this VMware has created a virtual adapter. And if I open the properties, you can see it has been configured with the IP address. Sorry. It is configured with the IP address 150.1.7.100. Okay. So what has happened exactly? This VMware, which is configured on my PC, it has created a network adapter, and this adapter is having the IP 150.1.7.100, which I have configured. Okay. Now on this VMware, I have created a virtual machine with the name Eve, and for this Eve, I have given the IP address 150.1.7.128. You can see when I perform any lab, it is on the IP address 150.1.7.128. So basically what happened, this virtual adapter, which has been created by this VMware, it is acting as a virtual switch. It is acting as a virtual switch. Fine. So basically, if I ping 150, ping from my system to this IP 128 to this IP 150.1.7.100, they will be able to ping each other. And similarly, I have configured this IP 150.1.7.2 on this interface, and it is my cloud. This cloud is nothing. This is connected directly with my virtual adapter. Okay. So what you need to do, you just need to do nothing. Just take network. With the network, you need to just click on management cloud, save, that's it. Okay. This is what I have done. So if I move to router R4, you can see this router R4 is already configured with the IP address. Do show IP interface brief. This interface E0/1 is configured with, we are on, okay, we are on R1 right now. Just wait. Because we have taken the remote access. Now we are on R4. Do show IP interface brief. You can see the interface interface E0/0 is having this IP. So if I ping, do ping 150.1.7.128. Let me see if I'm able to ping the Eve platform. I'm able to ping, right? Now let me see if I'm able to ping this IP 150.1.7.100. Sorry. Ping 150.1.7.100. You can see the ping is successful. So that means this router R4 is communicating with the virtual adapter VMnet1, which is already configured with the IP address 150.1.7.100.
Prashant, sorry, just to update, like, will this 150 network will be able to ping to your PC, local
yes,
PC?
Yes, it is pinging my PC only. If I'm
no, not virtual, not virtual one. That virtual one can actually,
if you want to move to internet, for example, if you want to move to internet from router R4, you can do that. For that, for that thing, you need to bridge. You need to create a bridge. We will discuss that thing in the later classes.
Okay.
Okay, right now what I'm trying to explain you that you, for the simplicity, just keep this thing in mind. This is my switch. Okay, that's my Eve platform. Okay, and that's my PC. As simple as that. This PC is having the IP address 150.1.1.7, and this Eve platform is having the IP 150.1.7.128. Both are in same LAN. They will be able to communicate, right? And on the Eve platform, I have taken a router which is configured with the IP address 150.1.7.2. So that means these two IP are in the same LAN. These two IP are in the same LAN. That's why I'm able to communicate from R4 to my end machine. Is it clear to you, Tarun and Ben?
Yes.
Mr. Ben, are you clear with this?
I'm good. I'm good. I understand E very, very well. So I'm good.
Okay,
with it.
thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
now what I have already installed this Syslog server. Now I want my router R4 should not send any log message on the console port. So I will write no logging console. Now if you will run any command on the router, your router will not show the log messages because you have disabled the log messages on the console port. But I want my router R4 should send the log messages to the server. Now the configuration part is quite simple. What I'll do, I'll tell my router to please send the log message to whom? To the server which is having IP 150.1.7.100. Okay, this IP is my PC IP where I have installed this, the Kiwi Syslog server. Fine. Execute this command and I will tell my router to please send all the log messages up to where? Up to 7. Up to 70 level 7. So if I am writing the 70 level 7 means from 0 to 7, all the log messages will be sent by my router. If I will write 4 here, that means my router will send the log messages only from 0 to 470 level. Okay. So while writing 7, that means the router will send all the logs from 0 to 7. Now, that's it. The configuration is quite simple. I have told my router to send the log message to this IP and up to which 70 level? Up to the 70 level 7. And now I will prove you how. If I run this command, do clear IP EIGRP neighborship, that means I want my router R4 and R4, they are already neighbor with each other. You can see to show IP EIGRP neighbor. You can see the routers are directly connected with each other. They are neighbor. So I want these router to break the neighborship with each other and regain the neighborship again. Do clear IP EIGRP neighbor. That's it. Did I get any log message on the router R4? No. But let us check the Syslog server. Did you see the log messages on the Syslog server? Right? It says the neighborship has been, we got a new neighborship. Right? You can see from 150.1.7.2. This is the IP address of router R4, right, guys?
Yep.
Fine. And did you notice you didn't get any log message here because we have disabled that. Now one more thing. Let's suppose that instead of the host name, right now you are getting the host name as 150.1.7.2. You want to receive the name of the router. So what you can do, you can write down login, origin ID, host name. That's it. So you have told the router that whenever you send any log message to the Syslog server, which you have configured here, please give the host name too. So now let me run this command. Do clear IP EIGRP neighborship again. You can see the router is saying the R4 is there. You will not get the host name here. Every Syslog server will have its own dashboard. So host name will remain same. However, you can see right previously you were not getting any R4 or R3, but now in the log message you are it is sending the host name also. Is it clear? What else
Yes.
you can do? You can also tell your router that whenever you send log message to the Syslog server, instead of sending the host name, you can send origin ID as some different name. Instead of host name, you can define some other name. Let's suppose the name is Jack. And let me run this command, do clear IP EIGRP neighborship again. And now you can see it says that Jack has sent this log message. Is it clear? So the command part is quite simple. Do show history. What are the commands? The first command is to configure the server, Syslog server on the router. Then you need to tell your router that you need to send the log messages up to the severity level 7. Okay. Then if you want to define the host name, that router should send its host name with the log message. You can write that. If you do not want to send the host message, but you want to send some other name with the syslog message, then you can write this command. Similarly, you can do with this. You can do this with the R1 also. If I move to router R1, and you just need to verify whether there is connectivity or not. Ping 1.150.1.7.100. So right now there is no connectivity. Why? I need to just check the routing table whether I do have the route or not. Show IP route. So I do have the route, but still I'm not able to ping. This might be due to the default gateway. So move to the properties, and on IPv4, I need to change it to default gateway will be 150.1.7.2, which is my router interface IP, right guys? This is what I have configured on R4. So let me just try to ping 150.1.7. And now the ping is successful. Now you need to do nothing. Just run this command, logging host 150.1.7.100. Then logging trap. I want to send the log messages up to severity level 5. That's it. If I run this command, do clear IP EIGRP neighbor, you can see the router is sending the log message with 20.1.1.1 also, right?